Hello, my name is Fernando Gonzalez.
And I'm Peter Alexander.
We're here to talk to you about the Watergate Scandal.
The Watergate Scandal is considered one of the greatest scandals in United States history regarding our presidents and the press.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy this documentary. On June 17, 1972, several burglars were arrested for breaking into the Democratic National Committee located inside the Watergate building. These robbers had ties to Richard Nixon's re-election campaign and were also caught attempting to wire phones and steal secret documents. On August 1974, all that Richard Nixon had done had to come to light, and he decided to resign as President of the United States.
Breaking thing. We're back in the problem area because the FBI is not under control because Gray doesn't exactly know how to control it. And their investigation is now leading into some productive areas because they've been able to trace the money, not through the money itself, but through the bank, sources, the banker stuff, and it goes some directions we don't want it to go. Also, there have been some things like an informant came in off the street to the FBI in Miami with a photographer, a best friend who's a photographer who developed some films for this guy Parker. And the films had pictures of Democratic National Committee letterhead documents. So there's things like that that are filtering in. Mitchell came up with yesterday, and John Dean analyzed very carefully last night and concurs now with Mitchell's recommendation that the only way to solve this, and we're set up beautifully to do it, the only network that paid any attention to last night was NBC, who did a massive story on the Cuban thing.
On Saturday, January 20th, 1973, President Richard Nixon was inaugurated in for his second term in office as President of the United States.
Now, fellow Americans, the Honorable Chief Justice will administer the oath of office to the President of the United States of America. Mr. Chief Justice.
Ready to take the constitutional oath. If you will place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand, and please repeat after me. I, Richard Nixon, do solemnly swear.
I, Richard Nixon, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve and protect and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
On Sunday, November 18, 1973, President Nixon gave one of his most quotable speeches regarding the Watergate scandal and his involvement. I am not a crook.
But in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I can say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
On August 8, 1974, President Nixon gave his resignation speech, and on the next day, August 9, 1974, former Vice President Gerald Ford became the 38th President of the United States.
Good evening. This is the 37th time I have spoken to you from this office, where so many decisions have been made that shape the history of this nation. Each time I have done so to discuss with you some matter that I believe affected the national interest. In all the decisions I have made in my public life, I have always tried to do what was best for the nation. throughout the long and difficult period of Watergate, I have felt it was my duty to persevere, to make every possible effort to complete the term of office to which you elected me. In the past few days, however, it has become evident to me that I no longer have a strong enough political base in the Congress to justify continuing that effort. As long as there was such a base, I felt strongly that it was necessary to see the constitutional process through to its conclusion, that to do otherwise would be unfaithful to the spirit of that deliberately difficult process and a dangerously destabilizing precedent for the future. But with the disappearance of that base, I now believe that the constitutional purpose has been served, and there is no longer a need for the process to be prolonged. I would have preferred to carry through to the finish, whatever the personal agony it would have involved. And my family unanimously urged me to do so. But the interests of the nation must always come before any personal considerations. From the discussions I have had with congressional and other leaders, I have concluded that because of the Watergate matter, I might not have the support of the Congress that I would consider necessary to back the very difficult decisions and carry out the duties of this office in the way the interests of the nation would require. I have never been a quitter. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But as president, I must put the interests of America first. America needs a full-time president and a full-time Congress, particularly at this time with problems we face at home and abroad. To continue to fight through the months ahead for my personal vindication would almost totally absorb the time and attention of both the President and the Congress in a period when our entire focus should be on the great issue of peace abroad and prosperity without inflation at home. Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president at that hour in this office.
To sum up what happened to all those involved in the Watergate scandal, here's some factual footage from the movie All the President's Men, courtesy of Warner Brothers.